The cheapest cuts at the butcher counter have something the expensive ones don't, and once you understand what it is, you will never overpay for a tender steak again. That secret is collagen, and it is about to completely change the way you shop for meat. Welcome to the Meatz. Today, we are cracking open one of the most misunderstood topics in all of meat cookery: why the cuts that look the toughest, the ones sitting at the bottom of the butcher's case with the lowest price tags, are actually the most deeply, unforgettably flavorful cuts of the entire animal. And I am going to show you exactly how to unlock that flavor using low heat, time, and a little bit of science that is honestly kind of beautiful. Stay with me here, because somewhere in the middle of this video, I am going to tell you about a transformation that happens inside a tough cut of meat that fine dining chefs have been exploiting for decades, and most home cooks have no idea it even exists. So, let's start with the obvious question: why are some cuts tough in the first place? Think about the muscles an animal uses constantly: the shoulders, the legs, the neck, the chest. These are working muscles. They move all day, and because they work hard, they develop something called connective tissue, primarily collagen. Collagen is a long, fibrous protein that weaves itself through the muscle like a network of tight cables. It is what holds everything together, and in its raw, uncooked state, all that collagen makes the meat incredibly resistant to chewing. That is why a raw chuck roast or a beef shank feels nothing like a ribeye. Now here is where it gets interesting. Premium cuts like ribeye, tenderloin, and New York strip come from muscles that do almost no work: the loin, the rib section, muscles that just ride along for the journey. They have almost no collagen, almost no connective tissue, and that is exactly why they are naturally tender even when cooked quickly at high heat. But here is the trade-off, and this is the part the fine dining world figured out long before the rest of us. Those low collagen muscles also have far less intramuscular flavor. They are tender, yes, but they are relatively mild. The working muscles, the ones loaded with collagen, they are doing something completely different on a flavor level. All that activity, all that oxygen flow, all that hard work builds up myoglobin, the protein responsible for deep, beefy, iron-rich flavor. A braised beef cheek tastes more intensely beefy than almost any steak you have ever eaten. A slow-cooked lamb shoulder is more complex and aromatic than a lamb chop. This is not an accident. It is biology. But here is the part I promised you: the transformation. What happens to all that collagen when you apply low, slow heat over a long period of time? At around 160 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, held for hours, collagen begins to denature and dissolve. It breaks down into gelatin, actual gelatin.
And that gelatin does two extraordinary things. First, it coats every muscle fiber in the cut with a silky, slippery richness that makes the meat feel almost impossibly tender and luscious on your tongue. Second, it creates a deeply savory, sticky body in whatever braising liquid or sauce surrounds it. That glossy, lip-coating quality you get in a great short rib braise or a slow-cooked ossobuco. That is pure converted collagen. That is the chef's secret hiding in plain sight. This is also why you cannot rush it. If you try to cook a chuck roast fast, blast it in the oven at 400 degrees, the collagen does not have time to convert. It seizes up. The muscle fibers tighten. You end up with something dry, stringy, and disappointing. But give that same cut 6 to 8 hours at a low temperature, and it becomes something genuinely extraordinary. Now, let's talk about which cuts to actually seek out, because knowing the science is one thing, knowing what to ask for at the counter is another. Beef chuck is the workhorse of the braising world. It comes from the shoulder, it is loaded with collagen and marbling both, and it is almost always the most affordable cut in the beef section. Braise it whole, pull it apart, or cut it into chunks for a stew. It rewards patience every single time. Beef short ribs are the chef's darling for a reason. They have layers of meat, fat, and connective tissue that, when cooked low and slow, turn into something that eats like the most luxurious thing you have ever put in your mouth. Korean-style galbi, French-style red wine braise, smoked and sauced, short ribs are endlessly versatile and deeply, deeply flavorful. Oxtail is one of the most underrated cuts on the entire animal. Pure collagen, rich bone marrow, and incredible depth of flavor. Jamaican oxtail stew, Italian coda alla vaccinara, slow braised with red wine and herbs, this is next-level eating for next to nothing per pound. And then there is beef shank, the cut that becomes ossobuco when you slice it into cross-sections and reveal that stunning bone marrow in the center. 4 hours of braising and this cut transforms into fork-tender, gelatinous, deeply savory perfection. Here is the butcher's secret that ties all of this together. When you are shopping for a tough cut to braise, look for visible connective tissue and collagen. Those white streaks and silver threads running through the meat are not a flaw. They are a promise. They are telling you that this cut is going to break down into something incredible given the right treatment. Do not trim all of that away before cooking. Leave it in. Let it do its work. One more thing worth knowing, and this surprised me when I first learned it. The collagen content of a cut also determines how good the leftovers are going to be. Because gelatin is water-retenting, braised collagen-rich meats actually stay moist and tender when reheated the next day. A reheated ribeye can turn chalky and dry.
A reheated short rib braise, it is somehow even better. The gelatin has had even more time to settle into the meat. Fine dining chefs have known this for years and will intentionally make short rib dishes a day ahead for exactly this reason. So the next time you walk up to the butcher counter and you see chuck roast, short ribs, oxtail, or beef shank sitting there at a fraction of the price of the steaks behind the glass, know that you are not looking at the lesser option. You are looking at the most flavorful option. You just need to cook it the right way, and now you know exactly why. If this video changed the way you think about meat, drop your favorite tough cut in the comments right now. I read every single one. Hit subscribe so you never miss a recipe or a tip from the Meatzites. And next time, we are getting hands-on with the full short rib braise from prep to plate. You are not